go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Masters Fantasy Show, brought to you by MastersFantasyFootballLeagues.com. I'm your host, the Commish here at Masters Fantasy Leagues, joined by two of my friends, co-workers, and guys I really respect in this fantasy game, Dynasty Owl, the Doc. What's up, guys? How you doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, I'm good, Commish. How are you?
Yep, another Sunday in the books. We're 90% of the way through week 3. I'm going to be doing my favorite segment every week, man. Today we're handing out fantasy game balls. The guy that impressed you the most, whoever you think earned your game ball, going to pass this on. Doc, we'll start with you. Who you giving your fantasy game ball to?
All right, for me, this is an easy one. One of the early games, Josh Allen. He'd been average, pretty much just average around 17 points a game the first 2 weeks of the season. Today, 358 yards, 4 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown. That equaled out to like 37 points, I believe. So finally, the Josh Allen of old. Yeah, he's my MVP. He looked great.
Yeah, and I thought I was hearing a lot of whispers. You know, this is Josh Allen from 2 years ago. I mean, even on our show, we said the same thing. Most impressive thing about it, I guess, the Redskins defense, man. Just shredded them today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing, too. The Redskins defense, not to go off on a tangent, but they've been pretty disappointing thus far. So I feel bad for those people that took them early.
Yeah, I was one of them people. All right, Dynasty, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah.
Dying to know, man, who gets your fantasy game ball this week?
For me, without a doubt, my fantasy game ball going to Cooper Kupp. I mean, following up a great week last week with another phenomenal one this year. 12 targets, 9 catches, 96 yards, and of course that pair of touchdowns. That's 30 PPR points. We love to see it. I've got him in a couple of leagues. I made sure my wife got him in her league. So we're just all in on Cooper Kupp, and yeah, I mean, it's just so good to see the pairing with Matthew Stafford working exactly how we thought. I mean, the Doc and I talked at length multiple times about Cooper Kupp being a huge target, and must have for this year. So it's nice to see, it's coming to reality with Matt Stafford. And yeah, I'm excited to see what keeps building on that.
Yeah, and coming into today's game, I thought maybe that Tampa Bay Bucks defense could slow them down a little bit. Yeah. I mean, not at all, man. As soon as you said Kupp, first thing that came to my mind was, man, unstoppable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much where we're at with Cooper Kupp right now. I'm going to give out my fantasy game ball real quick. And I hate to start this out doing my first game ball to a kicker. That's exactly what I'm doing, man. Justin Tucker breaks the NFL record, hits that 66-yard field goal. I mean, the poetic justice about it all, the way it hit the goal post, bounced up and in. I don't know, man. He gets my game ball, man. Especially on a day when 2 guys attempted to break the record at field goal kicking. First guy, that
didn't go quite as planned.
A complete debacle, turned into a pretty awesome touchdown, tied for the longest one in the history of the NFL. Justin Tucker on the second attempt makes history come true. I thought that was really cool. So he gets my game ball this week. All right, guys, going to jump into this, man. It's week 3's in the books, man. It's time to start looking at week 4. It's time to get these W's, time to hit this waiver wire, see what's out there. Quick little injury report, some notable injuries I've seen around the league today. We got A.J. Brown going out with a hamstring injury. James White carted off with a hip injury. That definitely didn't look good. Sterling Shepard, hamstring. Juju, rib injury. KJ Hamler, knee injury. Not a ton of names written down here, so I think most of us got out of the weekend unscathed. But I mean, still some injuries, still some waiver wire pickups out here. Some guys that excelled this weekend, some guys that may have outperformed. I mean, guys that shouldn't be on the waiver wire anymore. I'm going to kick this over to you, whichever one you guys want to lead off. I'm looking for some hot waiver wire pickups for week 4.
Sure, I've kind of got one that's a little. Well, let's talk about Chuba first, because I feel like he's gonna be the hottest name. After obviously McCaffrey got banged up Thursday night with the hamstring. So we'll talk about Chuba first. We don't want to forget him. Any idea how long McCaffrey's gonna miss? About 3 weeks? Is that what they're kind of saying?
I would say at least. I would say.
You think at least 3? Yeah. So obviously, Chuba, showed out well Thursday night when he got a little bit of opportunities there. We think he's going to keep building upon that. Royce Freeman's there to take away some of the goal line work, and then they're bringing in Duke Johnson for a visit. So maybe he doesn't have quite the full workload that McCaffrey does, but I mean, obviously for the next handful of weeks here, we think Chuba is going to be a running back you probably feel comfortable starting in most lineups.
Yeah, I
Ryan,
agree
give
with
one,
that.
then? Yeah.
Sure. I got quite a few. Well,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
4 of them, but I'll start
I've
with
got more,
AJ
yeah.
Green. Yeah, AJ Green, a guy we talked about quite a bit too in the preseason. But he's still sitting on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues, and he's sneaky putting up nice lines every week. I mean, he's had 6 targets in each of his first 3 games. That's a positive. You know, he's at least getting looked at. Last week he had a touchdown. This week he's over 100 yards. He's been very consistent, and I think he's worth an ad. I think he will continue to be that red zone threat too. And that he even had that game today with DeAndre Hopkins basically just being a decoy. Like, he didn't really do a ton. So, I mean, I like him to be a lot more effective as we go forward, especially with a healthy Hopkins on the other side.
Yeah, it's music to my ears, man. I've been telling you guys AJ Green for, since going way back before preseason. I just thought, man, maybe in this offense, add a little bit of youth to AJ Green, a little bounce in his step, playing, with DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. And I'll be honest, man, AJ Green, if you ask me, is someone that Kyler Murray can trust on that offense. I mean, I know he can trust Hopkins. I think you put AJ Green right in that same category, man. If he's healthy,
sure,
and he's got anything left in the tank, that's a guy you can trust, man. And for me, I've already got him on a few rosters. I started him this week. I didn't feel completely great about it, but I mean, a little. I was like, hey, man, I'm rolling him out here. Like you said, I wasn't disappointed. 5 catches, 112 yards. AJ Green, let's go, baby.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes, my next one's kind of a bit of a deep dive because, I mean, he's a guy who's rostered in like every Dynasty league, but in redraft leagues, I think he's pretty much untouched in most redraft formats. But he started the year on the IR, but Rashad Bateman's got to be close to coming back. John Harbaugh said we'll see about week 4. I think he probably doesn't come back week 4, but I'm guessing a week 5 or week 6 return. Hollywood Brown had 2 drops today.
Big
3 drops, I think.
Man.
Yeah, 3. Yeah,
3 drop touchdowns, I think.
He left. I was going to say a lot of points he left on the table today.
Yeah. So needless to say, I mean, I think Lamar's still looking for some more help at the receiver position, and we love Rashad Bateman. And obviously, because he started the year on the short-term IR and he's a rookie, pretty much went undrafted in just about every redraft leagues. Unless they have IR spots, then people were grabbing him and holding him there. But yeah, I think you can kind of wait for the first wave of the waiver wire transactions to go through and just kind of pick him up as a free add or drop on Thursday, depending on how your league works. But yeah, he's a guy I'm starting to pick up if I can.
Yeah, and I was just speaking about trust with AJ Brown, and then we moved right on to Hollywood Brown. I mean, Lamar has to be having some trust issues at this moment.
Yeah.
So
no kidding.
I'd be looking at Bateman too, like, man, let's go get on the field. I need you out here, man. So because Lamar was dropping some dimes to him.
Yeah,
he was. All right, and then Doc, you said you had another one.
Yeah, I got a few more. I'll just kind of rattle them off.
Okay.
So I got a quarterback, running back, and a receiver. The quarterback I mentioned last week in our recap show is Kirk Cousins. And again, he continues to be very, very good. I can't remember what the stat was, but it's something like in a clean pocket, he's got like the highest either quarterback rating or completion percent. It's something like that. So like when he gets time, he's been spot on so far this year. 22 points week 1, 25 last week, 25 this week. I mean, this is what we kind of expected him to do more so last year with the weapons that he had, but he's starting to look a lot better. And I mean, it makes sense. He's got Thielen and Jefferson. They both continue to put up big numbers. So yeah, Kirk Cousins is a guy that I feel like you have to add. Same as Derek Carr. I feel like both of these guys are worth.
Derek Carr was the name I had written down as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, so I don't want to take your thunder there. Running back, I think from that Buccaneers game, I noticed, and I feel like a lot of people probably noticed too, like the script to beat the Buccaneers is you got to throw the ball, because if they're weak anywhere, it's their secondary. So I feel like the Buccaneers are going to be in a lot of games where they're throwing a lot. And I think with Fournette and Ronald Jones being as disappointing as they have been today, finally we saw Gio Bernard, who we kind of touched on a few times in the offseason. He had 10 targets, 9 catches, 51 yards, and a touchdown. That's the kind of output we expected from him in a Tom Brady type offense. And I think with the way their team's built and the way things have shook out in that backfield, I think Gio Bernard's going to be an excellent ad for anybody there. And I think he'll kind of be similar to that James White, which we've talked about, where he can just be a guy for Brady to dump it down to. And then my last receiver is Emmanuel Sanders. And maybe I was just a year early on this. The other guy will be the number one in Buffalo over Stephon Diggs, because Emmanuel Sanders has been really good. I mean, Diggs is still the guy, but I will say this. Through 3 weeks, 6+ targets in each game for Emmanuel Sanders. He had 8 in week 1, but the catches and the touchdowns weren't really there. This week, finally, he and Josh Allen get on the same page. 2 touchdown catches, a ton of targets again. I mean, the dude's getting the targets. At the end of the day, he's a free agent in most leagues. Again, 6+ targets. The touchdowns will come. The yards will come. You saw more of those targets turn into catches this week. So Emmanuel Sanders is another guy I like a lot too.
Yeah, I like all 3 of them, man. Probably Emmanuel Sanders, my favorite of the bunch. One thing I did like about Kirk Cousins today, too, no Dalvin Cook, man. They just kept the ball rolling. That was good to see. Because I was a little worried, man, they were going to, back off the line, make Kirk beat you, man. And I mean, he was able to keep it rolling, fantasy points. Gio Bernard, man, I think is an interesting one. I do think that Bucks defense is good enough, to shut down a lot of teams. But if they're playing another high-powered team like they were today, the Rams, and they're forced to throw the ball, man. I mean, game script puts Gio out there. I do think he's a guy, depending on the matchup, you'll be able to use going forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, kind of to piggyback off that whole conversation, Nahim Hines is another guy where I think, obviously the Colts are way less talented than the team, so they're going to be playing from behind a lot more than the Bucks will be. And obviously, same type of back, same type of role. And as much as we love Jonathan Taylor, I mean, if they're playing behind by 2 scores, they're going to throw Nahim Hines, and they're going to throw the ball 30 times the rest of the game. So it's always nice to have those third down running backs on teams who are trailing. So Hines is another guy available out there in a lot of leagues, and if so, I think he's worth a pickup.
Yeah, I love that one too.
Me too. I agree. All right, then I just had a couple more written down here. We'll just rip through the couple last names I got on the list. If you guys agree or disagree, let me know. First guy I wrote down here was Marquez Callaway, a guy that I spent 40, 50 blind bidding bucks on, prior to the season. Dropped him last week after, 2-point games. He shows back up again today, 4 catches, 41 yards and a touchdown. Has actually had more targets in consecutive weeks now. Those are going up. Your guys' thoughts, man? Is Marquez Callaway worth picking back up off the waiver wire?
I do, and kind of like you, especially in dynasty leagues, I was throwing a lot of money at him when he blew up in the preseason. And definitely a little bit disappointing the first couple of weeks, but yeah, a lot of guys gave up on him already, dropped him. I think it's a good time to buy low, especially who knows how long Michael Thomas is going to be out. But yeah, until Michael Thomas is back, I mean, he's their most complete number 1 receiver. So I like it.
I actually think even when Thomas comes back, man, I think it could help the young kid out.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because I don't actually think he's their number 1. I think he's more of a compliment wide receiver, more suited for that role. So, but I mean, like you said, until Thomas gets back, I'll take the targets too.
Right. And just like that, obviously, like you said, once Thomas is back, that takes a lot of the attention, and then Marquez can be a great number 2 or something. So
yeah, maybe he can make some of them spectacular catches opposite Michael Thomas. I'd love to see a couple of those.
Absolutely.
Another guy I had written down here, Austin Hooper for our Cleveland Browns. No Jarvis Landry, found the end zone today. Tight ends, man, it's a tough position. We're always looking for points. I picked up Hooper and started him. I seen him in a couple of my other leagues as free agents. As a free agent, I'm actually planning on going to pick him up this week. Your guys' thoughts? Austin Hooper, waiver wire picked up week 4 or not?
I like Austin Hooper a lot. I just feel like at tight end, it's so bad that a guy that's got that opportunity to score every week now, and there's so many more open targets with Jarvis Landry out. I feel like he's got a much better shot to be a viable fantasy threat over the next few weeks, especially without Jarvis. But overall, too, like the more better teams the Browns play, I feel like that's going to increase his value as well, because when they play teams like the Texans or the Bears today, I know Hooper got a touchdown, but I mean, it's a lot of running from the Browns. And we saw like more usage of tight ends week 1 against the Chiefs. So I think in those games where the Browns play better teams, you're going to see a lot more Hooper. And I think, the targets probably won't be there, but the opportunities at a touchdown, He has been looked at in the red zone a few times this year that we've seen. So I like the ad for sure, especially with tight end being so weak.
One last thing while we're talking about the Browns. I haven't seen the snap count reports for today yet. But I mean, Demetric Felton was out there for a lot of snaps. Do we think there's any chance he's ever fantasy startable this year with Kareem and Chubb there?
I think right now he's worth an ad, but the only thing is I think once Jarvis comes back, that kind of hurts his role.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of using him like Jarvis today a little bit.
Yeah. It was fun to watch, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
he's electric.
Yeah, and I had to refrain myself from picking him up in all my dynasty leagues. I went out and picked up Anthony Schwartz everywhere after week one. So this week I'm like, I'm just going to pump the brakes. I was kind of regretting it after watching the game today. I do think in Dynasty, man, if I got a roster spot, I want them.
Felton and Schwartz in Dynasty, I think they're good. Good buys. Might take a couple of years before they really get a big time opportunity. But yeah, I like them.
Yeah, and just one other thing about that Browns game, man. If I had an extra game ball to give out, I'd go ahead and toss it to Myles Garrett real quick.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt. Already. Yeah.
Yeah, I think last I seen, I think he had 4.5 sacks today.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, crazy stuff. All right, then a couple other guys I had written down here. I think it'll be some hot waiver wire pickups. Just the whole Pittsburgh offense. Whoever's left and not limping onto the field this upcoming Sunday. Anybody stick out to you as somebody you might want to pick up on that Steelers offense?
I like the tight end Pat Freiermuth and kind of touchdown today. Don't know what his total box score ended up looking like, but yeah, with if Juju misses time, I'm looking for kind of like the Austin Hooper corollary with Jarvis. Somebody's gonna eat up targets in the middle of the field, and I think Pat can be that guy. Good red zone threat as well. So yeah, he's my guy out of that group.
Yeah, and I'll toss in James Washington too, just because even Chase Claypool got banged up today too. So the door's really open at wide receiver. James Washington's always been a guy I've liked. He just never has really clicked in Pittsburgh. But I do think he'll be able to put together a couple of good games while he has this opportunity. Because, they're going to throw the ball a zillion times, which we saw today, especially to Najee. But
19 targets, man. Wow.
That's crazy.
So
hey, we tried to tell people he's just going to get peppered with targets. The running game's not going to be pretty, but he's going to get a ton of targets. And sure enough, he did.
I just pulled up that box score from today, obviously, on Roethlisberger's insane 58 attempts. So Najee had 19, Claypool 15, Pat Freiermuth had 5, James Washington had 5, Eric Ebron had 3 and no catches. So I like Pat to kind of keep building upon this nice game and maybe do some damage next week.
Yeah, good stuff. And then the last guy I'm going to toss out here, another old guy. I'm always pulling for these old guys. Today, man, Desean Jackson, 3 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown. Actually some points left on the table there too. Matthew Stafford with an underthrown ball. Could have been 2 to the house today. Desean Jackson, well, we always know he's boom or bust, man, but on this offense, is he worth picking up?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Obviously hard to know when to start him, but he's the same Desean Jackson in terms of he can put up them boom weeks like he did today.
He looked fast. Dude, he looked flat out. Which we know he's fast, but at 34, the one question you have is, has he slowed down? And it certainly didn't look like it today. Past the eyeball test. All right, guys.
Yeah, and if anything, we know too, Stafford's got that rocking arm, so they're gonna keep testing the deep ball with Desean Jackson for sure.
Yeah, at least a couple times a game, you would think. They're going to pull
absolutely.
That out. Yeah, I think so too. Good stuff. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up this edition. Week 4 waiver wire pickups. Handed out our game balls today. Maybe in the comments if you want. Tell us who you'd give your game ball to. Love to see it. As always, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, come be a part of the Masters family. Love to have you. Any last words, guys?
Thanks for listening.
Mason Crosby just hit a 54-yard field goal. Thanks for listening.
It wasn't 66 though.
Nah,
Still
not even
good,
close.